Tonight at 10, the Quincy Public School Board is starting their search for a new superintendent. The search comes after former Superintendent Todd Pettit and 2 Denman elementary teachers were suspended. Pettit signed a separation agreement with QPS in August. The board is now partnering with Hazard, Young, Atea and Associates, an agency that specializes in superintendent searches. Their contract is for about $17,000, negotiated down from more than $20,000. Board members say they'd like to be conservative with their spending this search, but most importantly, they say they want to find the right candidate.
Always looking for that special someone that's going to commit to Quincy as their community and take on the district as their own, and the teachers and the students. And you always hope that they have that special connection. They're able to make that connection with them.
Arnn said that 2 teachers from Denman Elementary School are still on paid suspension after an incident involving birthday spankings and the use of tape on students. The matter is still under investigation by DCFS and the State Board of Education.